now to think about who I was then and how I was showing up online, I was constantly like looking for like what do I say? What am I doing here? I'm writing these long poetic posts on Instagram and like I think this will inspire people and whatever I can do. And now you're like I show up and it's light, it's authentic, it's real, and it's because I'm showing up, Jess, with this absolute clarity in who I am and what I'm doing.
Welcome back to Fast Foundations, the podcast. It's your girl, Jess Bergio, and I am so excited to have today's guest on. His name is Alex Street. Alex is your story coach, and Alex was in Fast Foundations, the mastermind, not too long ago where we met, and I got firsthand to experience this human's evolution into greatness, and I feel like I had front row seats to some real true magic happening along with what a mastermind can really do for somebody. So Alex, welcome to the show.
Oh, this is so good. I'm actually like, I can feel something. Let's call it emotion. I can feel something bubbling up just even as you say that, like all these moments and experiences and like 3 years of this process just all flooded back over me. And just looking at where I sit right now, Jess, I am so excited to be in this conversation and still involved in this community. I'm thrilled for where this is going to go and specifically what we can talk about today.
I know. Isn't it just the most amazing feeling to look back and think, wow, it was 3 short years ago, but also 3 long years ago. Am I right?
Yeah. Pandemic years count as 10. They're like dog years. And so it's really been, about 30 years ago since I started in this.
I love that. Okay. So can you take us back to where you were at when you discovered Fast Foundations?
Yeah, brilliant. So I know that I'm supposed to impact people. I know that I'm supposed to speak. This has been my journey since I was young, getting on stages, acting, got into public speaking, really more in like a youth pastor mode and fell in love with impacting people. And I was in a place in 2019 where I knew I went all in. So I quit my jobs and said, I'm going to be a coach and a speaker. Somehow this is going to happen. A friend led me to like discover, why don't you do it? Like go to businesses and talk about the next generation coming in, because that's what you're an expert in. I was like, great, that's my experience. I'll make that a business. 8 months into that, I'm on the struggle bus. I feel like I'm driving the struggle bus. Like I'm making like no income, but I've given everything to this business idea. And then a mutual friend, Joey Spears, comes to me and I know him and I'm like, look, I need a business coach. He's like, you don't need a coach. You need a mastermind. Get in this container. It's a fast turnaround for you because like enrollment shuts down next week. But it's going to change your life. And so I made the biggest, scariest investment I've made, got in the room, and that's where everything took off because I was just looking for someone to coach me to help me make this thing a reality. And little did I know that in that container, it would become a whole other reality that I didn't see at all.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that crazy? Like when I tell people that I coach now, that you may be so fixated on this current dream or this current vision of what you think you're supposed to be doing or where you're supposed to be going. But I promise you, if you just start taking action on those things and be okay with it moving in a different direction or different opportunities coming by way of you just showing up, it is unreal because you're not the only one that I've seen have major aha moments or be recognized for some greatness that they didn't even really recognize was a thing because it's always been in them. And like speaking and story coaching has always kind of been your thing. It probably came so easy to you. You never even would think other people struggled with it. And when you're in that room and you're sitting around people who are having a hard time expressing what it is they do, even though you can feel and see the passion that they too want to impact and help serve and create and all the things, they can't put their feelings, their thoughts, their whole life into words. And you just happen to have this magic, I think, really ear and sense about people. And so like I can literally throw up my entire 41 years of life experience, thoughts, and you can literally whiteboard it out for me and be like, this is what I hear, this is what I see, and write out 3 or 4 sentences, and you're like, how's that feel? And I'm like, that's me in a nutshell. 4 sentences, that's my whole life. And that's who I help, that's who I serve, that's who I am. It's wild.
So this is, but this is the thing. So you hear that, you see that now, right? You see now version of me. And if I were to show up now and say, well, this is what I do. I'm your story coach. I help you find clarity in your story and communicate it with confidence. Let's party. That, as I say, is 3 years of narrowing down, of even not putting what I do, who I am in a nutshell, creating my own process. But it began by getting in the room and saying, I'm going to see what's here for me. And then it all showed up. And if I were to tell my story, it's who I was. I came into that room wildly confused, and on many degrees, in many different moments, found clarity through that room. And I would say Fast Foundations has been, no doubt, the transformative moment experience of my journey so far. So you look at who I am now and you see this clear version of this, and and even how I show up, like, right? How I show up and say, like, sure, give me your 40 years. I can narrow that down. No problem. Let's party. Let's do it. That comes from a confidence that has been developed really over 3 years of being in a safe place to practice and really put that out there.
Right. Because you didn't do just one round, did you?
No, ma'am, I did not.
How many rounds of Fast Foundations, the mastermind, did you do, Alex?
Can't stop, won't stop, baby.
Party people, are you listening?
So I did the first round. So this was September, and it was live had 2 live events, which were incredible, made lifetime friends in that experience. That finished December, and then I was like, okay, I got to take some time off. I've got to digest this because my whole identity just shifted. And I'm focusing on speaker coaching now instead of this Gen Z thing. So I've got to focus on that. Took 6 months off to actually get clients in that space as a speaker coach, and then got to the end of the summer and I was like, okay, I got to get back in that room and get some structure and get that community again and answer all the new questions that I have. So then I got in that room again. And then once that ended, I was like, I need more of this. So I just got another hit and signed up for 3 rounds. And then at the end of that one, there was like, hey, Alex, do you want to be a coach? And I was like, just set up a spot for me. Just give me a key and I'm going to keep coming in. Like, I can't get away from this place. I don't want to get away from this place.
I feel you. I mean, I'm still here, and it's been, I was in the very first round in February of 2019. So I just missed you. You were in the second round because Joey Spears was with me in the first one. And I feel like that's the power of networking and connection and putting yourself out there. Is like, you had a friend who was like, that's not what you need as a one-to-one coach. You need to get in a mastermind. And I would say even in early 2019, I didn't quite know what a mastermind was. You know, Chris and Lori Harder, who originated this program, always were talking about these high-level masterminds that they were a part of with Gabby Bernstein and Jack Canfield. And I was like, cool, $25,000, $50,000 masterminds. Like, I only make $150,000 a year. Like, I don't know that math adds up for me. And I didn't see the bigger picture vision of what I was doing because I was just behind the chair as a stylist. I hadn't even opened my own salon yet then, or experienced building a team or any of that. I was just a one-man accidental entrepreneur, as Chris Harder referred to it. That coin phrase for me was what sold me. And I had been watching them grow. And it's like, I saw the version of them, like you were just describing of yourself, like the after version. And I was like, okay, well, you can't have the after unless you start where the before is. What did they do? They invested in masterminds. They got into rooms. They put themselves in scary situations. They allowed themselves to pay to ask questions, to learn other people's knowledge. And I was like, okay, well, if you are emulating these people and this is how you kind of want to model your business and your life, they now have one. So maybe you should go be a part of it. And for me, it was a no-brainer too. I too took that second round off because I was just like, wow, I've just been fire hose, business school, life school, mindset school in 6 months. I need to integrate some of this and figure out what the hell is going on. So same for me. That's when I opened the salon. I started the networking groups and started to really find my voice in all of this. And then got the opportunity to coach in that next round from Chris. And like people see this after version, like the podcast and like how confident I show up and then, oh my God, you're so good at podcasting. I'm like, but I didn't before. Like, I hated my voice. I was so scared. I would get distracted, all the things. And it takes, you got to put the steps in to start to get the momentum, right? Because like you said, you are not the version of you that started scared, confused. You gave yourself the space to
Yep.
transform and to find what your true purpose was. And every time I see you show up on social now, like you are just like energy, like light energy, like you just draw in the best type of people. Your vibe is just one of a kind.
This this is what I love because okay, let's get very real about that. Because actually there's one thing I want to say before we get into that. Let's talk about energy and vibe and how I'm showing up. When I had that first conversation with Joey about the mastermind, like I honestly had never heard of Chris or Lori Harder. And so he's like, sign up for this thing with these people that I know and follow, but you don't know and follow. So there's people out there that are like, I don't know. I don't know who's leading this thing. I don't know these
Right.
people. I don't know anybody in the room. But if you can trust voices like ours, if you can trust someone who has experienced it, that's what I was going on. I went based purely on my friend's recommendation and got into that, and everything's changed because of that. And now to think about who I was then and how I was showing up online, I was constantly like looking for like, what do I say? What am I doing here? I'm writing these long poetic posts on Instagram and like, I think this will inspire people and whatever I can do. And now you're like, I show up and it's light, it's authentic, it's real. And it's because I'm showing up, Jess, with this absolute clarity in who I am and what I'm doing. And so if I can show up with that, then every day I can show up with this absolute clarity. I'm like, I know what I'm doing. I'm talking about story. I'm talking about clarity. Everything I can do, even if I'm just showing what I'm cooking tonight, somehow that's working within me. I know that that's actually part of the process here of helping people live out the kind of story that they want to live. So it's an ease of showing up now because I've experienced this transformation through this experience. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And that's why I hope through this podcast that if someone even accidentally found our episode, that they
Right.
could find that there was some truth, light, and energy from us, that they're like, well, I don't know who Jim and RT Custer are. Jim and RT are the legacy movers that have taken over from Chris and Lori, the original originators of this program, and they are carrying the torch and making it even better by starting this podcast, allowing for me to come in and host it and be able to bring people like you who have gone through the transformational program, not one, but 3 times, and also coached in it, so that you guys can hear how passionate we are about this group. And it's really, if you are attracted to the things that we're saying, if what we're saying lights you up and you see yourself in our story, then it's for you. It's really that
Yeah.
simple. And I challenge you, if you feel any sort of resistance coming up, send us a DM, ask us questions like, okay, I heard your podcast, but like, tell me the real deal. Like, we will tell you the real deal. Alex, especially, he'll talk to you for 4 hours if you let him. It's the best. That's why I said, how are we going to keep this podcast under 6 hours? I don't know. I'm just kidding. Well, because when light attracts light, like it's just your vibe attracts your vibe. And because you gift clarity to so many people, it allows for them to be able to show up as themselves. When we know what we want to make impressions on for people in the world, it's easier to start to show up and talk about those things. And I find people who don't have clarity are the ones in so much resistance to sharing their shit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. Yeah. That's it. Because they're trying to do something. So if I can even I'll take you to the moment why I'm so passionate about this and why this matters. Because again, let's go to that first meeting, that first in-person meeting. I'm in LA. I wanted to be an actor all my life. Finally, I'm in Hollywood. My first time in West Hollywood. The morning before the first meetup, I'm taking a scooter around West Hollywood. I'm looking at the theater and the Walk of Fame, and I'm in awe. Then I walk into this room, and there's all these perfect looking people that are all running wildly successful businesses, and I felt so small, right? So I walk into that space, and then in that room, we go through, and they're like, it's time for introductions. We're going to go alphabetically by first name. Alex Street. Alphabetically. I'm like, yes, S. He's like, first name. Okay, here we go. But also, background is, I'm like, I love speaking. Give me the microphone. Let's go for it. So he gave some parameters on what you need to say. I got up there and I said, this is what I'm doing, helping organizations talk about the next generation. And I sat down, and the person next to me leans over, one of these perfect ones, leans over and is like, you need to teach us to speak like you do. That's it. That was the moment. I'm in here confused about what I'm doing with, I think, is a baby business idea that I'll work out. And that comment revealed something in myself that I knew was in there, but I didn't see in this capacity. I didn't think that I could share with these people, with this room. And she saw that, and it opened my eyes to go like, you know what? You're right.
Mm.
That's it. Let's lean into that. And so that's where I'm like, if somebody can come, so I'm so excited to be in this role again, to be a coach and come alongside somebody who's coming in with whatever their business is in some sort of confused state. I don't know how to talk about it. I don't know how to promote it. I don't know really what my story is or why I do this. And if I can be the one that pulls that out of them and helps them see it, then I know that we're part of a lasting legacy.
Boom. Hey, I'm so glad you're here joining us for the launch of the Fast Foundations podcast. I have an opportunity that can massively change your business. When I joined the very first round of the Fast Foundations Mastermind, I felt stuck in my business because I didn't know what I didn't know. All I knew is I wanted access to more tools to scale my business, more examples of what's possible, and more like-minded entrepreneurs looking for the same. The next round of Fast Foundations Mastermind starts this September. This 6-month in-person mastermind was built for you. Join the next group of entrepreneurs that go from idea to owning their own business, from burnt out to having solid systems in place. We can't wait to see you in one of those seats. For more information, click the link in our show notes or just head to fastfoundations.com to learn more about this round and future opportunities we have coming up. It's that simple. It's that simple. It's like it's such a gift to give yourself the opportunity to find out what's possible. We talk all about and I said this on, the episode with Jessica Jovanovich around, gifting yourself that opportunity to have the vision be bigger than you could even paint it out to be able to have somebody pour into you things that you don't even know exist inside of yourself by way of the exercises that we do in the groups, the conversations that are had on the calls, the questions you hear other people asking that you wouldn't even have thought to ask, the ability to actually learn that you do know some shit. I think that is equally as powerful because you were not alone in feeling that when you walk into a room like that. I would say the majority of people feel that way when they walk into any sort of room, especially in a smaller container of under 100 people. You always feel like you
when
have
you're going to be seen.
Yes,
right?
The least value to add. You're like, who am I to tell other people who I think are perfect how to speak? They probably already know. But we all have things that we need help with. And most of us know that we could get better at things if we worked on them. And so speaking is one of those things where it's known that not a lot of people like to do it. Even if they're good at it, they might not like to do it. So how do you find the joy in speaking about the thing you're passionate about, right? Whether it's an athleisure line or this new journal that I made, you have to speak words out into the universe in order to get your product or service out into the world. And with personal branding, people connect to the person and the story. So my journal could be better than everybody else's because I made it with all the love and it's got all these cute stickers and whatever. But if there's not a story behind it, people won't be able to connect with it. And if you're not emotionally connected to something, someone, the product, whatever, the story, they generally will buy the cheapest thing or the easier one to find, and your shit will get lost in the sauce. And that's the kind of thing that when anybody wants to bring something to market, especially an actual physical product, the first question any investor or someone's going to ask, well, why is yours better? Say you want to come up with some new workout leggings, right? Why are you better than Lululemon? Why are you better than any of these other ones? You better have a fucking good story because people want to get involved in that story. That's why people become so much passionate about, a brand, is because their messaging, their story resonates with somebody.
I love it. It's exactly, right? This is it. So we've got all these people showing up, and the truth is some of them they're not the speaker. They're not the one to go out there and they don't feel like they're going to be the one who is always at the front speaking the thing. Other people are like, yes, right? Give me the microphone. Let me speak. Let me talk about this thing that I'm passionate about. But regardless, as you say, you got a personal brand, you're leading this thing, even if it's not a personal brand, but you've got a product, you've got something that you're trying to bring to market and scale. If you're there, it's because you have a passion that nobody else has about this. Mm-hmm. And you can, just as you say, you can talk about the product. You can talk about the program. You can talk about your life coaching. Great. I'm a life coach. Okay. Why? Because I've experienced something. And where I was is not where I am. And between where I was and where I am, there was a significant person who came in and helped me discover who I am now, who I can be. I want to step forward and be that person for someone else. Completely generic story I just made up, but you already feel better about that life coach than you did before. And that's the value when we can open this up. You get to show up and communicate exactly what you do, but now with a why behind it.
Yeah.
That empowers you in a new way to speak with confidence in any room.
Yeah. I mean, watching you work your magic in my membership group a few months ago with my old assistant, Mo. I don't know if you remember that. Her
Yeah, I
background was
do.
in the military, and then she got into the beauty industry because she loves fashion. She loves making
Yeah.
people feel good. And she really was confused on how that story, that even that whole 10 years of her life in the military, would relate to getting new clients in the salon. And you worked through all the things she'd been through, all the ways that she'd helped people or served, right? That's the ultimate level of service. And you helped her really see like how she ended up where she was and why she was exactly where she was meant to be, and how it kind of all made sense. And like we all
Yeah.
watched this like light bulb go off in her head. And I'm telling you, I know you probably don't follow her like I still do, but she shows up so much more confidently in like who she is. Her business is thriving. I feel like it just clicked that day when you talked her
Mm-hmm.
through all that. And it just, when we can make sense of what we're thinking, feeling, and standing for, it helps obviously other people understand what we're thinking and what we're standing for. So,
Yeah. I mean, if you're confused, your audience is.
period.
And
And
if you can show up with confidence, if you can speak about what you do with confidence, then your audience will.
right.
And how are you going to grow a business? Well, through referrals. Well, how are they going to refer you if they don't know what to talk about? So the more clear that you show up, the more confident you show up, the more clear and confident your audience will connect with you and share you.
Yeah. So you, like me, both of us had never been in masterminds before this one, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
And what would you say your favorite part of Fast Foundations was?
Ah.
That's really a tough one, huh?
Okay, so this is the thing. There was the live event when I was there.
Yep.
I mean, that stands out. And so
That's
this,
that's back
especially,
now.
yeah,
We're
right.
back.
So
Yep.
and the second meetup between like the first and second meetup, I became such good friends with guys that at the second one, we just shared an Airbnb together. So there's like six of us. Jim was one of them that we shared an Airbnb. And then the morning before the first thing, we went out, got coffee, and rented surfboards and went surfing down in Venice Beach. Like, I will remember that moment forever. And then we'd bring that connection now into the room where we're fired up to help all these people. There was a sense, my favorite thing about Fast Foundations overall comes out of that, which is a sense that everybody wants everybody else to win.
Oof.
So when we celebrate wins, it feels like everybody wins. You come on the call and there was this like, I just sold my first client, and we all clap like crazy. And then somebody else is like, I just made my first 100K week, and we clap the same way. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, there's this win mentality. And how can we serve and help each other within this space?
Yeah.
That that's what's really special about
That
this
is so,
space.
and it's so true. It's so, so true. So clearly you made friends, right? That's one of the ethos that Jim and RT and I share. All three of us were just looking for new high level friends.
Right.
I was
I
very,
just want a friend,
yeah,
please.
I just want friends I can have these types of conversations with, because
Yeah.
people probably looked at you like you had a decent career, maybe even a great career that you were thriving in. Like the whole like stay in your lane mentality of why would you switch things up, and why are you trying to do this new thing? It doesn't make sense to a lot of people who it doesn't make sense to. So when you get in rooms like this, oh, it makes sense to everybody. And the
Mm-hmm.
conversations are never in or around like, oh, that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
That's interesting. It's more like, wow, okay, that's a great idea. Have you thought about this? Or what about that? Or I know somebody who could help you, or how can I support you? It's
That's
it's
right. It's
such a
momentum. It's a momentum container, right?
yes.
That's good.
That is good. Write that down. It's such a different space that unless you've been in it, you just don't know. Yeah, you just don't know. So do you keep touching with
Yeah.
all these guys still?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love it. And this is yeah, so Kyle, I mean, and again in that room, Kyle and Jim and Joey, we're all in that room together. But there's this I feel like what happened again, so I came in, and let's talk about this momentum container a little bit, because there's this sense of like when I came back and I was like, okay, I've got this course that I made between the two meetups. I made this course. I came back and I was like, I'm celebrating making this thing, but I haven't sold anything yet. And I don't know if I can, but I'm celebrating making it. And immediately people come around, they're like, we're going to help you sell a bunch of those. Oof. Like there's this sense of just like, we're celebrating what you did, and you have all the tools in this room to help you take whatever the next step is. And so it just felt, again, there's this like fanning the flame that you feel is so small, or this little spark, because you face it every day. You're doing this on your own, in your office, in your basement. You step in this room and there's all these fans around that want to like make that thing thrive and just burn like a wildfire. That's what I got. And that's why then I came back and had the momentum. You're like, let's do this. I'm putting myself out there at a price that I never imagined that I would pay for that or get paid for.
Seriously, it's so
and
good.
There we go.
There we go. Oh, you guys, if you are loving all this, you're eating it up, and you're like, I just want to be a part of this. You guys have sold me. I got it. I mean, that is what this podcast is for, just to create awareness around the power of masterminds, but also just to share some really awesome stories and to share some really awesome people with you guys. So if you are looking for clarity on your messaging, on your story, reach out to Alex at Street Says on Instagram. That's where he likes to hang out. You can shoot him a DM, ask him questions, get in there. And if you're curious about Fast Foundations, the mastermind, it's fastfoundations.com. You can find out more information. We start our next round in September, and we have our first in-person in October, the 4th through the 6th in Laguna Beach, California. So Alex and I will be there along with the other coaches, and we hope to see you in there too. Alex, do you have any parting words for our listeners today?
This is just so good. I am so grateful to be part of this and to help as many people to find and believe that their story matters, just like I have. And again, through this magical container, stepping into this space, that's where we see that our stories actually are all working together anyways. So let's get in the room and cheer each other on.
Yes, let's get in the room. All right, guys, we'll see you on the next one. Take care.